Okay. Sorry, I was muted. Um, okay, hang on. I'm gonna remute myself. Okay. Sorry about that. And somebody's chat says they hate boundaries. I'm always ready, baby. Let's go. Who am I? Give me one second. I gotta turn on my light. I just moved. I have a whole new setup and stuff, so it's a little scuffed. There we go. And it's really bright when I do have it on. Well, I just gotta. That better? I recently adjusted the settings on my camera so that it looks way better, but it requires good lighting for it to look good. Thank you. Oh, I'm gonna pull you up so I'm looking at you when I talk to you. There we go. Ah, damn it. Okay. So I got a little list of things to talk to you about. First one, I wasn't gonna talk to you about, but I heard you say it, and you talked about it, so I'm gonna talk about it. You said that you don't like that viewers and stuff don't like to praise you and also you don't like it, well, first of all, fuck you. I think that you're awesome. And this is the hotline, so you can you can tell me to stop, but you can't make me unsay it. When I called in the one time, I said that I was the first Mr. Girl hotline success story. I don't think anybody had anything negative to say about that. You genuinely did help me improve my life. You encouraged me to get therapy, and I did, which led me to getting on medication, and my life has been significantly better since then. And that might make you feel uncomfortable or confused, but you got to deal with that. Some of the shit you do does actually help people. It does give them a better understanding or give them a boost to make something better of themselves. That's indisputable. What do you think about that? Yeah.
On some level, and on some level, I'm below. There is a. I mean, I'm doing it, so there is a part of me that is like, you know, saluting the flag when I hear this. That feels like I am in doing my mission and making a difference, but it's very eclipsed by, I guess, just imposter syndrome and self-loathing.
Yeah, I get that. Sometimes people say nice things about me, it makes me hate myself for feeling good that they said it to me.
I don't know
It's
if
all
I even
it's
get
very
to the part.
confusing. That's my best interpretation of the
Have
weird swirling mess of emotions
have
I
you
get.
have you seen Psycho?
It's been a long time, but yeah,
You remember the psychologist at the end who explains Norman's psychology?
I really
He
wish I
comes
did.
out and
I'd
he
be
does
lying if I
this.
said I did.
Okay, he comes out and he gives the speech. All the cops are all sitting around. They're like, "What the fuck? Like, what? Who's? How? Why'd this happen?" And the psychologist, after interviewing him, is like, "When Norman gets the attention of a pretty girl, he loves it. He feels good, and that part of him genuinely did like her. But then the mother, the jealous mother, comes out. So Norman did not kill these people. It was the mother. So it's I don't even get to the part of processing what's happening before this like demon comes in to kill us both.
That makes sense. Do you think that's, you said it's your family?
Seems like it.
That would make sense. That tracks. Um,
Yeah.
I want to say, and I'm sorry. I have it written down here. This is, I know you're putting yourself out here to be uncomfortable, but I still have to apologize for it because of my own insecurities. How I became a people pleaser. I've showed that to a lot of people, and
Yeah.
one guy in particular, he left a very abusive relationship after watching that. And I tried for like 2 years to get him to understand the situation he was in, but that video did it. I thought he'd never leave her and she would murder him and get everybody to feel sorry for her.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
he did it.
yeah, he finally did.
Okay.
She bit him and went to jail, and I was like, all right, look, you need to watch something because she's gonna write in her journal for 6 months about how you're like abusing her and she doesn't have any way out, and then she's gonna kill you, and she's gonna they're gonna find her journal and they're gonna think that she was did it in self defense. I swear to God. So you need to watch this video because I can't get
Yeah.
through. But also several other people on that video particularly. I'll let you off the hook now. I just wanted to give you a little short burst of that. Um, I
Okay. So I saved a guy from being bitten to death by his girlfriend.
a really really good guy too. Yeah, it was probably one of the most decent human beings I've ever met. Yet ensnared by a psycho. Um, the next thing is I want to talk about Lolicon. It's the theme of the night. I'm glad I can finally not come in with something completely random. Um, One of the things that
Till
I
you're
found,
naked and my balls is gone.
oh God,
Yeah.
why it's so catchy? I sang that in line at White Castles to myself, and I was like, I better fucking stop.
No, you gotta sing it loud and proud.
That's a
Hey,
dangerous
your
song to be that
mic is
catchy. Too loud?
your mic. It's distorting.
Oh, thank you. Oh God, the knob's all the way up. How's that?
Way better.
Thank you. I put a poll on Twitter. I don't know if you saw it, and I'm a little bit happy that the results are what they're at right now. And 20 votes in, I asked,
Oh yeah, I voted.
did you? Which one did you pick, if you don't mind me asking?
Body of a child.
Oh, I see. For me, I think the adult body with a 9-year-old brain is way worse because this is somebody who's I guess to me, the child body 1,000 years old is somebody who is so drawn to the aesthetic that they're willing to engage with this taboo. Like if somebody caught them, it'd be really bad for them. But the adult body with the 9-year-old brain is saying that I want this so bad that fuck the, I don't even, it can defy the aesthetic. And this will be the thing that satisfies me. Like
Yeah.
I can make it fit in where if somebody caught me watching it, it would be okay. They wouldn't know what's going on, but I know the person getting railed, although they look like an adult, is actually a child. And I think this shows a much more like a stronger drive, like a stronger deviancy, because you want it to appear normal to everyone else,
Okay. What's the question? Which is more deviant?
which is more
Uh,
deplorable
uh,
hentai canon. Yeah,
which is more deplorable hentai canon?
yeah,
The child with the body of an adult, or the adult with the body of a child?
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I guess I just think the part that's damaging when you have sex with a child is that you're having sex with their brain. That's the part that gets
yeah.
hurt. So if they don't have a child brain, then I don't think it. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So sorry, I am agreeing with you there. But in terms of what's deplorable in a person, looking at this,
Mhm.
then it got to go with the body, more than
Interesting.
the brain.
So for me, I don't I really struggled a lot with this. That I just can't bring myself to care if somebody's jacking it to cartoons. Like it just there's very few things that would matter to me so much. Like
Yeah,
in all reality, it has to be less terrible than almost any real pornography for like society, the people who are involved in making everything. And I've had
yeah.
people tell me that it's basically, I've heard somebody talk to food shops and tell them that they're splitting hairs when they say that it's not child porn, when they choose to call it like drawings or anything. If they don't just call it child porn, they're splitting hairs. This is fucking
That's
insane to
crazy.
me. Yes,
Yeah, it is.
it's like we've actually left the realm of reality and we've gone into this pure rage mode. It's really
Yeah,
crazy. And part of the thing that this whole discourse has really freaked me out about is that I think that people are starting to get it in their head that they can demand to know what the creators jack off to, which I think is also kind of terrifying. It's such a
yeah,
weird entitlement to somebody's deepest emotions and complex feelings that they might not even understand.
yeah, yeah. Who knows why you jack off what you jack off to?
Yes, I tried to bring up. Somebody pulled me into a panel. Like I got a bunch of messages saying, "Hey, you need to come in here," because they thought I was just gonna like outright defend lolicon or whatever. And I was like, "Well, like I just don't care about it." And they brought somebody on who did, and I was like, "Wait, do we care if the reason that they're watching it is just because they're into taboo? Like if they just like love the fact that like oh I'm breaking my girlfriend's heart. If she caught me right now, she'd be destroyed."
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and they won't engage with it. And like
Right. If there's no victim, and the urge to do it isn't even pedophilic, then what? Then what's the problem?
yeah, and like for me, like I had a full force taboo thing, and I've never uh wanted to look at Lolly for that reason, really. Like I know that it's there, but I got my own depraved shit that I
Hey,
like. But no, I
sure.
don't care if anybody else does. But
Oh.
I feel like the more and more people amp up all this anger towards this like very silly thing, the more it's like somewhat appealing. I just think it still wouldn't do it for me, but like the idea of doing it is like more appealing the more people are upset about it. So I feel like they're actually like running the they're they're kind of encouraging the thing they don't like because that's the only people they're going
Yeah.
to sway is the taboo people.
Yeah.
Um, Also, I wrote this down because you and Will were talking about it. The Taylor Swift AI thing. I hate that. I hate
Yeah.
that you think that it's a better argument. There's a better argument for AI stuff. Like it, when that happened, I wish that I was an expert painter because there's people that can paint photorealism that like you would just instinctually you would just insist it's a photograph.
Mm-hmm.
And I would paint Taylor Swift in the most vulgar, vile situations to make the point that this has nothing to do with AI. You just want to censor what people can create. And I think if I had a painting, people would be a lot more hard up to make a strong argument against me being able to paint this painting that I could generate in AI in a few seconds.
So one thing that I think is helping me with the blackface videos. Um, Not that there's been like a controversy about it, but even just in my own audience, people, some people have said it's racist, but I think that one thing that helps it not be perceived as racist, including by black people, is the amount of effort I put into it.
Sure.
Where if it's just a funny little idea, I'm like, oh, shake your pussy flaps. It wouldn't it be funny if this guy was like obsessed with like white women, and then I type into a computer and it spits it out 5 minutes later. I think that that has a different meaning than if I spent like 5 months on it. Like a
It's
1,000 hours or 1,500 hours or whatever, just an insane amount of time animating every little tiny thing. I think it carries a different meaning. And the same thing with the Taylor Swift thing. If that was a painting, I think it would be thought of it just means something different than if you're like, oh, I just typed this into a computer and it spat out this image. Just feels you're getting all the provocation of it, but none of the investment.
um hmm. Sure. I do think that like the amount of time spent is a weird argument. However, when it comes to like the blackface thing, I actually think that like it's like peak comedy to put an insane amount of work into something that ends up being like shake your pussy flaps. I think that's fucking
Hmm.
hilarious. Do you watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
No,
Are you aware of it?
I am aware of it.
There's a character that comes out as gay to his dad in prison by doing honestly the only interpretive dance presentation I've ever seen in my life that I was like very impressed by. And it is one of the silliest, most off the wall shows. And how good it was made that one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my entire life. So the the immaculate attention to detail for the Shake Your Pussy Flaps video made all the funny parts, like the whole thing, just like extremely funny to me. The appreciation for how much time and energy went into that for what is a funny song.
But I also think it changes your view of, is this just something I made to fuck with black people?
I guess to be clear, I do understand your point. I was just adding a separate layer to that, like uh, the time and energy spent on it makes it like another thing to me as well. Yeah, nobody's gonna work that hard for a minute and a half long video to stick it to the blacks. They'll just say the N word on
Right.
Twitter.
Yeah, and the same thing with the Taylor Swift painting. If that was a painting, I think it would be people would be talking about like what it means. But now you look at it now and it's like it doesn't mean anything. It just means you are trying to fuck with Taylor Swift.
Trying to fuck with Taylor Swift fans would really be my goal. That are freaking out about the
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, let's see here. Oh, I'm gonna have to talk to Will tomorrow. I think the idea that uh, like barely legal, like 18 and 19-year-old porn being adjacent to pedophilia is fucking insane to me. I think that's like one of the
Yeah,
craziest things.
pedophilia is 12 and under.
Uh, y-
What happened to 13 to 17? You got a lot of wiggle room there.
Well, and because it's Will too, he knows that he's saying that to you. He's not saying it to a person who will interpret pedophilia as 17 and under. It's
Right.
just like an insane thing to say.
What a
Also,
fucking asshole.
it was, and I know generally we don't talk about other ghosts, but we both know Will. It's not like he's an anonymous
We
caller
know,
to.
and we know Will is a fucking asshole.
Um,
Yeah.
I think generally he's a pretty good guy, but he was way off base on that one. Um,
Yeah.
I think that for a lot of people, like that kind of stuff can just be more like them reliving their golden years too. Like that's what I've always thought of as the reason why it's such a popular category. If somebody wanted lower than that, they would just go search for that. I don't think anybody's going to look at 18 and 19-year-olds to substitute like CP. That doesn't even make any sense.
Not for 12-year-old, no.
Yeah, you would be if you like you would be just as much on point with like a 40-year-old as you would with an 18 or 19-year-old if that's what you're really going for.
I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe not exactly, but it's not. It's a big difference.
Yeah, it just well like you said earlier, they're fairly similar, but like everything's just like a little bit tighter to the skin. Less
Tightness.
wrinkles. Yeah, that's basically the
Yeah.
difference. So I think that's all pretty crazy. The last thing, and I didn't have a lot for you tonight, but I really wanted to share my thoughts with you about Lolicon because, God, every person that talks to me about it infuriates me. It's like they took stupid pills right before they talked to me. Uh, I want to talk to you about content. One, I really want an MK rematch. I'm a lot better now. Main and Omni Man.
Okay.
I'd be beating ass with Omni
Okay.
Man.
All right.
What's that?
Yeah, I'm in.
Hell yeah. I'll let you set the time. The other thing is I had to postpone it. I had a co-host and it's done, but I'm doing a dating advice show and I think I'm just going to rotate out guest hosts. Would you be interested in being a guest host for one episode of my dating advice show? Everybody gives advice on how to
Sure.
get in a relationship. Fuck
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I want to give advice to people who
How do
are
you get
fighting,
how do you Oh, fighting. Okay.
who
Yeah.
like having problems in their relationships because
Sure.
I've had a lot of relationships. I've resolved a lot of problems where I think most people would break up. So I think it's something I'm good at. And I think I want co-hosts that are generally going to be have a different position than me. So I'm not giving them just one line of advice.
Okay. Yes.
And then the last thing, and then I'm out of here. And you can go to your last caller. Is it's been a really big goal of mine for a long time. I just want to know what do I got to do to qualify to co-host the hotline. I've seen a bunch of other people do it, and I was like, what do I have to achieve to be at that status?
I don't know. I've been rethinking the co-hosting for hotlines because people call in to talk to me and they
Mm.
don't want to talk to the co-host. And then I'm just awkwardly trying to bridge the conversation and be like, "What do you think, co-host?" And they're like, I don't know. It just always ends up being really awkward. So
That's
I might just
true.
not have co-hosts. I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. That's all I'm thinking about that.
Well, if you have a co-host in the future and you don't tell me what the requirements are, I'm gonna be devastated. I'm like, he fucked me. He lied to me on the hotline.
I
But I guess that
understand.
makes sense. Um, but cool. Get with me about the MK rematch, and I'll get with you to figure out when you're free for co-hosting the dating advice show.
Okay.
I think I'm shooting for Sundays, but I'm not 100%. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Sunday is fine.
Okay. I guess I'll leave on. I'm really glad you're doing the hotline twice a week. Oh, I think maybe next time my wife wants to call in. We watched
Twice
The
a month.
Fiend,
But yes. Oh,
and she has
nice.
questions. It was I didn't have any expectations, but I think that it was as I was watching it, it got better and better as it went. I was impressed. It was a good film. And
Well, I'm
I
glad
guess
you
I have
liked it.
one question about that. Uh, did you do all of the production side of it? Like I know you were the documentarian, but did you do all the editing and like all that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool, man. Holy shit. I wasn't
Thank
sure.
you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, have fun with the last caller. Peace out.
All right. Peace, man.
Lance Lakestrong, you know I'm not going to ask that stuff. That's just like rude stuff. If it was the case that he was working at McDonald's and he didn't tell us, I would assume that he didn't tell us because he didn't want to. I wouldn't try to force it. So I got a message from Leader. Oh, I'm going to go back to the hotline now. Window capture. Wait, now where's my window? There we go.
Oh, Jesus.
I got to rewind it a little. I didn't have any expectations, but I think that it was, as I was watching it, it got better and better as it went. I was impressed. It was a good film.
I'm glad you
And
liked it.
I guess I had one question about that. Did you do all of the production side of it? Like, I know you were the documentarian, but did you do all the editing and like all that?
Yeah.
Very cool, man. Holy shit.
Thank you.
I wasn't sure. You're welcome.
Yeah.
All right, well, have fun with the last color. Peace out.
All right, peace, man.
There we go.
This is about to be funny, chat. Oh, Jesus, Nathan, what'd you do? Well, hey, Katie's in the waiting room. Is she trying to call in? We have two or three. Drazi is last. Katie's your last caller and is coming in high energy. Oh, Jesus.
Okay, I caught up on the chat. Yeah, this isn't a really long one. You should force it, though. What happened to Mr. Girl being all open and transparent about everything? I don't think he's always been open and transparent about everything, but he's been a lot
all
more
kinds
open
of
and
like
transparent than
warnings.
most
This
people.
is crazy.
He still has boundaries.
Okay. I feel like somebody's about. I don't get what's happening. I feel like somebody's about to sneak up on me.
Mr. Girl and Katie just can't have like a coherent conversation together. I just think it's they're both way
Katie,
too pedantic.
Yeah, you remember me, right?
Yeah, how could I forget?
I'm excited.
Easily, a lot of people forget. What do you mean?
It's gonna be rough.
Oh no.
Hell yeah.
No.
Let me put on my cam for a second.
I consider you somebody that I know.
I assume you need my cam.
Yeah, I mean,
Hell
you don't have to. You don't have to if you don't want to, but you can.
Also, very pumped to have Mr. Girl.
I don't have to if I
on
don't
my
want
dating
to.
show.
That'd be much easier.
Dating advice show.
If you don't want to.
Well, I'm streaming and I have it on my side, but then I'll have to. I'll just put it on. I'm being spoiled.
Cool. Yeah, I have weird feelings about you because I feel like you're consistently an asshole to me, but I like you anyway.
Same.
Well,
I know my gum is at.
There we are.
But I'm rather chewy.
Are you
I don't think I'm an asshole. I don't think I'm an asshole to you. I don't think I really criticize you. I think I do things that you don't like, maybe, but not really to you. You're actually an asshole directly to me, so it's a little different. Yeah,
that's not true. I speak way more, I guess, fondly of you than what most people would like me to.
Oh, that doesn't. Even saying that is kind of an asshole thing to say, if you think about it.
Oh, if you mean the way I talk, then yeah, this is just how I talk. I do that with everyone, though.
Maybe
that's like not a you thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I'm just direct. You can pathologize it if you want.
A lot of people equate being a very direct.
The thing that I enjoy about my directness is that you can call me an.
Wait a minute.
And
it's not calling somebody out for having a job that they don't want to discuss. That is dredging up shit people don't want to talk about. That's fine for them to not talk about. Like, what's the bad thing he's doing with that?
Actually think about you because I'm not going to not say it.
That's true. You're not a backstabber.
Yeah, I'm a bad backstabber because I will DM someone and be like, I'm gonna stab you in the back, and I need you to be aware so you can prepare. I'm a very
All right, are you turning on this?
Cool.
Yes, I'm working on it. Jesus,
Nice.
you're
If I
distracting
was the
me with
journalist,
needing
Okay,
to
I'm gonna talk to
Hold it.
chat so you're ready.
that would not be my
Jesus.
my
I can't
aim.
foresee if it'll be about lolicon or Israel. I'm leaning towards Israel, but I don't know.
Why did
I'm
I
going
do
to
this?
self-immolate if Mr. Girl doesn't stream twice a week.
Yikes.
There's something about the self-immolation. I think that Twitter especially, but social media in general, people brag about not caring about 9/11. Whereas when 9/11 happened, you'd brag about caring about it. But now irreverence is such like a desirable quality in a creator that so much of the images I see of the self-immolation are people bragging that they are not emotionally moved by it, which is like the opposite of what you would want doing that kind of protest. So it's very weird seeing that sociopathy is
Jesus,
like
Cosmo. That's cool.
a hot commodity. I don't really get why that is. I guess it's because the rule, I think it has something to do with the TOS on social media being like you can't be a certain way, and so then people act out like
Stream's
kids in
holding up really well,
school,
too,
you know.
on Wi-Fi.
Their
Oh,
the
shit.
class clown is funny because they're flouting the rules. But
I
whatever
don't know
it
what
is,
the
it
fuck I'm doing.
seems really bad.
My bad.
How do I capture Discord? Jesus fucking Christ.
That's weird. Kitty's a streamer. She should know that.
How do you capture Discord?
Yeah, it's like not showing
pop-
up for me.
Did you pop me out into my own window?
I did not, because that used to do issues for me.
I think
Let
you
me
should do
pop
that.
you
There we
out.
go.
Yeah. Do it.
After you talked about Elderdrazi raping you and you raping Smith, the least I could do is pop you out.
He talked about
Thank
me
you.
raping him?
That's very courteous of you.
I'm not gonna rape you. We already discussed that. Why are you not working?
It's gonna be
Huh? Either way, it's not Israel or Lolly.
Good.
Okay. What's up?
I knew it.
Oh shit. Okay.
This is gonna be way off the
So,
wall.
two things. Foods came on. And I did not like you guys' conversation. I think you'd agree with me, but I just want to run through this. So I think the way the
sneeze.
internet,
Oh, thanks.
and I guess people off the internet, therapy speech is so common now, have taken the word boundary and just mean it to be anything is like really unhelpful.
People don't
So
understand.
I'm going
we're
to tell you
all in
my
this space. It's
conceptualization,
crazy.
and you tell me if you agree with that or if you use a different thing.
Okay.
So, as far as I understand it, boundary is something that you impose on yourself. I.e., when X happens, I do X action, or sorry, Y action. Everything else is rules that you set for other people regarding how they should treat you. So, for example, you guys used a rape analogy. That wouldn't be a very successful one. But if I set someone a rule, don't DM me after 3 a.m., my boundary would be if he breaks my rule, I will
I'm
block.
going to. Yeah. That makes sense.
This is very on
So
point.
I feel that the reason why people use boundaries to mean rules
They do.
is because boundary sounds more valid and like good than just acknowledging the fact.
I'm gonna pause it for a second because I want to say this coherently and clearly. Boundaries are always I statements. They're never you statements. If you don't stop doing this thing, then I will do this. It's always an I statement. It's always focused on yourself. I got into an argument with Tom about this. Tom thinks that rules are boundaries, and they're
that
not.
we
It's
all
crazy.
follow established
We'll get caught
social
up.
rules, and we all set rules for each other all the time.
I think there's a assumption of goodness smuggled in with the idea of a boundary, where
Yes.
if I say I have a boundary that if Shaylin makes eye contact with me, I will yell at her. Like,
You'll punch her in the face.
Yeah, I'll punch her in the face. Like, is that really a boundary? Like, technically, it meets the definition of boundary, but no one would call that a boundary. So I think that.
Well, I would. It's just an abusive boundary. Your boundaries can be abusive depending on the actions you take to enforce your
so
boundary.
I just think that's part of the definition that needs to be ironed out. Is that some people would say an abusive boundary can't be called a boundary, and other people would say anything can be a boundary, but some boundaries are abusive.
Okay, that's
My mic
a
is
correct.
low.
So
Oh, it's really
I
loud
think
for Mr.
boundaries
Girl.
can't be abusive.
on, let me
But
try
the when you say I will do X action to enforce my boundary,
The
those
action would be
actions
abusive.
can
Is
be
that better?
abusive. So you can make
Do I
any
need to
decision
turn
you
up
want.
my mixer?
A thought in your head is not abusive. It's just a thought. But what you manifest to the world can be abusive.
Okay, so
So
the
the way
boundary
people
is
enforce
the
boundaries can be abusive.
boundary itself is the line I'm drawing, and then when you cross the line, what I do that is packaged with the boundary is not actually part of the boundary. It's a response. It's the
Oh,
enforcement
I
of the boundary.
see. Oh,
Exactly.
wait.
And if you call it an enforcement of a
Let's
boundary, that gives you more
try
validity, right?
test,
Like
test,
my
test,
wife
test,
didn't
test,
make
test,
dinner
test,
for me,
test.
so I
Jesus.
disciplined her by punching her in the face because that's
Right.
my
Okay.
boundary, right?
That should be
But
better.
No, that's abuse. Your
Right.
boundary, because with enforcement of boundaries as well, the difference between abuse
Actually,
and like a valid boundary
Lance,
is that a
I just
valid
moved in, had to
boundary
reset up all my
enforcement will always be
stuff,
something that you enforce on the self.
and my
Punching
knobs on
someone
my
in the face
mixer
is,
got
again,
moved
like
around
taking
in the
it out on
move.
someone else.
You could just stop.
I've only
speaking at her
streamed
for
once
being
since I
abusive.
moved.
I think you can.
Thank you,
can
pretty
be
true.
By self-imposed enforcements.
Okay, so let me challenge that a little bit. I think that with something like not talking to your wife for a week in that case, the intent really matters. Because if I had a boundary...
By the way, pretty please throw me, if you're on YouTube, give me subscribe. I'm getting pretty close to being able to get ads. That'd be super cool. And if you're on Kick, was it follow? Yeah. Give me a follow, please. I want to get VODs.
I'm like, if dinner is not ready, I'm leaving him. That's not abusive. I'm allowed to leave.
That's
any
the beauty of
relationship
this,
for any
Lance.
reason,
I get to say
right?
whatever I
So
want,
the
even if you don't
distinction-
ask.
Okay, but we can talk about that later. My point is that the distinction for me is like, if you intend to punish someone else, that's not again about an enforcement of boundary that
I
is
don't
on you. You're encroaching on someone else's.
I don't think I agree with this.
Okay.
I think that in evaluating the abusiveness or validity of a boundary, you just kind of have to feel it out for yourself and make some subjective assessment. Because what if my experience is, well, I'm not trying to punish you. I just don't feel safe touching you, talking to you, or sleeping in the same bed with you for 2 weeks every time you don't make me dinner. I would think that from a third party who's like, this guy's like fucking abusive. He's emotionally abusing you, even if he doesn't know.
Not
it.
sure.
From a third party, but
Pretty
for me,
true.
at least my conceptualization of abuse is that like you can absolutely feel abused, and from your perspective, it is abuse, but that doesn't make.
That's
the
what
person
she
doing
said
it an
something else about
abuser
it.
necessarily.
I think it does.
Okay,
I just
but
don't think the intent. I don't think the intent matters. You could
I
do
think
something.
the intent. Sorry.
I don't think the intent can be the determining factor or a determining factor. In
Well, I
whether something
wasn't
is abusive.
begging
Like,
for
lots of the
subs.
most- the things
Also,
I
they're
consider the most
free.
abusive are done with the
So I disagree. I think intent is not.
But
the
if you
main
think that's
factor,
lashing out,
but I think it is a factor. But that really depends on the situation.
you might be too
So,
sensitive
but
in the
this
stream,
is-
bud.
Yes, I'd agree. So two things. First of all, I wouldn't mind
Tuned up a
like,
little bit,
saying
pretty
for
true.
the sake, because obviously we could go
Thank
around
you.
and constructing theories. I haven't thought about this for too long. So for the sake of
Thank you, thank you.
expediting this thing, because it's not my core thing, I'll say yes, some enforcement of boundaries can be abusive, which would make the boundary semi-invalid, or if your enforcement doesn't change, then your boundary is abusive. But what interests me is that then, do you agree that in your conversation with food shops, when you guys both talking about boundaries, 99% of that conversation was about rules that you set for Smith?
No, they're rules I set for myself.
They're boundaries you set for yourself?
Yeah, sure, boundaries.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so what drove me crazy in that conversation is that foods, like many other people, are under this assumption that like
I told you
I can tell someone to do
about
something
the
and that's a boundary that I
pedanticness.
have, which is
Yes.
it's just not how boundaries work. That's
No,
not.
yeah, it's about controlling your little bubble.
Yes, and I think people do this as well because the implication of so there's the neutral version of we all set rules for each other all the time, and most of the time, most of the rules we engage with are actually preset for us, right? When we don't punch each other in public, that's because there's a social rule we don't do that. You
I
don't
like
need to
that
tell
one,
someone
Lance.
on the street, don't punch me, but that is a rule, not a boundary that you have. So I think when people use boundary instead of rule because rule has a connotation of control. But there was something really interesting in the conversation with foods that you said, or someone said in our chat, if you can set a rule for someone, whether they follow or not decides who has power in that dynamic, right?
Lance is a light troller, maybe medium, But I would say
don't
not
know.
necessarily problematic.
Using the rape analogy, the rule is we don't rape each other. But whoever then commits the rape is the powerful entity in that interaction because they're the one capable of breaking the rule.
Really, Haas.
Yeah.
Even if you don't like
I
Mr.
mean,
Girl, you
kind
don't
of.
find him
Yeah, in the
interesting?
moment, they are the powerful
In the
entity.
moment.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think
I like
when
most
we
really weird,
exchange the
thoughtful,
word
intelligent
rule
people.
for boundary is because sometimes rules can be abused, and who can set rules often is tied to power dynamics,
Huh.
and people don't like that.
But I don't
It
think-
You'll have to wait for
complicates
the
their
video then.
talks.
Yeah.
I'll certainly
I don't
explain
think
it
I've
then.
set any rules for Smith at all.
No, I don't care talking about Smith. It just annoyed me, like the semantics that was all
Okay.
wrong and very stupid. I don't care about Smith.
Why are we calling her foods? It's food shops. So if the S gets paired with food, then it would be foods hops. I think if you want to
It said they
it
were
has to
both
be
too
food.
pedantic.
Food shops.
Well,
I
I'm
called
an
it. I
ESL,
called it.
and whatever's comfortable for my tongue is what I do.
I don't really like it when people say things like I can see right through a person. You're sort of taking away their personhood.
Okay.
Anyway,
I always reframe that in my head as like you think that
good.
you can
so
see
I'm
right
glad
through that
you're
person.
on board with the rules thing because you were using
There's a level of
boundaries
confidence
a
about
lot
another
too,
person's
and I
mind
get
that I'm
foods
not
were-
typically
was kinda
comfortable with.
very-
How could you think I don't remember you? I've messaged you asking you to come on my show. We've had a bunch of interactions. We've talked like a few times. We've had interactions on Twitter. It's very weird that you would think I don't know who you are.
What do you want? Do you want my Pringles?
Yes.
Do you have- do
Oh,
you
I
want
thought you were
this?
talking to me. Sorry.
No. My Pringles is empty. Sorry.
Actually, one of the things I like about Mr. Girl is that
Usually,
he doesn't
I ask
glorify
people
abuse,
if they remember me,
but he doesn't
because
hide from it.
assuming that they don't is
He's willing to
vain.
admit
and I don't like
what he
coming off
does.
as vain. That they
Okay.
do. Sorry.
Okay. So you thought I did, but you were just checking
He doesn't hide his
for
shortcomings.
appearances.
Not for appearances. So I have like kind of. I had a certain. Oh, we're gonna do therapy. Sure, this is the U space. We'll do therapy.
Haas, you say your radar has never been wrong. I think that people that have the sense that they're always correct at pegging people are some of the most likely to make radically wrong judgments about people.
I had a traumatic event when I was around
Your level of
17,
confidence in your ability to
that
perceive
kinda, like,
somebody
changed my life for the next
makes it very difficult for you to know if you're wrong.
a few years after that, where I became acutely aware that sometimes I can think I know how things are. I can think someone remembers me. I can think someone likes me. I can think someone's into me. And then I'll act on it because I'm sure of it. And it turns out that's not true. And when that happens, that creates such immense amounts of like humiliation in me that I could be so wrong, that I then developed a coping mechanism of continuously always downing it, even though people explicitly tell me over and over again. And that way I never have to experience that humiliation again. Can I go to my next point now, or do you have something to say?
Nope. I get
Well,
it
you
now.
say that, but if that's the case, then we're both looking at a
Yeah.
duck, and I'm pretty good at identifying ducks.
Oh, by the way,
But you're saying that
you don't
I'm
get to
somehow
call me out
unable to see the duck
on,
that you can
doing
see.
things for
So I think it'd be
optics,
impossible for
because
us to
the
agree.
first public engagement that we have, you acted a very specific way.
You don't know that he's
optically,
working at McDonald's.
even though we had interacted before.
Also,
so
you can be
don't.
profound and work at McDonald's.
How did I?
Being
I
profound
see
doesn't
you.
need to be financial
What did I
success.
do optically?
you acted like you don't know me and had no reason to have any faith or trust in me whatsoever.
Are you talking about in that big group call?
No, I'm talking
I think that
about
was our
the
first
debate I was moderating with Smith.
Oh, I see. I think our first interaction was in. You may not remember, and this is very humiliating for me, but I think our first interaction was in a big group argument, like in January of 2022 or something like that.
It wasn't a group argument, it was a prime panel.
Okay, yeah, prime panel. It felt like an argument. And you said
Well,
something
you were
about
mostly
you
being
said
racist and shit, so.
yeah, you said something about us being Jewish or something right before I
No,
left. Or
you like to weaponize the Jewish thing, and
If
then
if
you
you knew
talked
he was
about
flipping
even if
burgers at
all
McDonald's, you wouldn't ask me to ask him. You
black
just
people would
provide
rape
proof.
all the Jewish women, I would still not support discriminating against black people. It was very cringe.
how's that racist? That's very anti-racist.
Yeah.
I'm not going into why you're racist.
I was playing chicken with Doobie because Doobie was saying like every races have a right to protect themselves from like.
I understand that, Haas.
interbreeding
I'm
or
just saying
something,
that.
and I was saying
Yeah,
that
I do remember that interaction.
Well, I'm willing to
because,
say that
well,
I
it was
can't
one
know
of
for
the
sure if he
first
is. I just think that he
debates
is.
I remember because you were just coming out, and I was like, oh my god, a panel with Doobie, Destiny, and Mr. Girl, and I'm on it? And then, like,
Yeah.
Destiny ignored me, and you talked over me, and Doobie was being annoying, and I got to say
Do you have a
3
YouTube
words.
channel, Lance?
But I ended up doing a Vosh video recently.
Yeah.
And I wanted to prove that Destiny also made
Well, yeah, you do.
theoretical points to why CP can theoretically
Well,
be
link me the
done
video.
ethically.
Yeah.
So I had to clip that panel because that's the panel he was making those arguments on. So I recently rewatched it. Is my point.
Okay. I was like, Jesus, you really remember this really well. This makes sense.
Oh, I also remember it really
That's
well
fair.
because it was very weird that Destiny.
I think there's some parts of Mr. Girl that he's a lot more guarded with, but also he's such a uniquely weird guy that I think that it's almost unbelievable at times. That's just how I think of it. But I do appreciate that. I feel like I can be pretty weird, but I do make a good effort to kind of like show that I'm being sincere. I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not.
Said that, and also you were being racist.
I don't think I was being racist, but continue.
Okay.
I think I'm almost never racist.
I think I'm not debating racism with you.
Well, that's fine, but you're just casually calling me racist, so I'm casually issuing a denial. Continue.
Good. You do.
And you do you. We can talk about whatever you want.
I love weird shit too.
It just clicked for me. I think when I say I think you're being racist or you are racist, people think it's like an accusation that I expect them to like fight against when I'm just telling them what I think about them. Like I don't expect like a conversation.
I understand, but I don't identify as racist. So I need
That's
to.
okay. I don't care.
I know you don't care, but for my own sake, I have a boundary about people calling me racist. If you call me racist, I have to say that's not
a
true.
rule.
It's a no. It's a boundary. You're allowed to call me racist, but if you do, I will enforce my boundary by saying I don't think I'm racist.
That's very valid.
That's me.
Maybe I said I support abuse. I don't think I've said that, Lance.
I did.
To be fair, Haas, I think most people have that alarm.
I don't like you, but I enjoy our interactions. You are friends with Destiny. You know what it's like.
Mr. Girl once said hating him is the first step towards loving him.
Somebody's a bad person, but still enjoy their company.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was a bad person, and once I did, I stopped enjoying his company. So I don't think I do know what it's like.
Okay, then let me rephrase, because I said yeah casually. I don't like the whole thing about I think you're a bad person. The way that I'm autistic. So the way that I evaluate if people are bad people or not is like I look at specific actions and I'm like, is this a bad action?
Yeah.
And then if there's enough in the box,
you have a net negative influence on the world around me.
What does that mean?
Well, it's never been wrong that you're aware of it.
I make bad things happen, or put bad ideas out into the world. I'm a harmful person.
Do I think you're a harmful?
Yes, Lance, that's a very good interpretation of what I said. Great job, buddy.
Do I think you're a harmful person?
But also, like, given that I'm sure you have been, at least right the majority of those times, if you're that confident with it, Toss.
So harm needs to be quantifiable.
I think that you should still
and
think that, even if I disagree.
think most people can't be a harmful person to society or to their larger environment. Like, people can be harmful to each other interpersonally, but what
It's a bad idea to label people versus their actions. I think that most people aren't very good at doing it. I think that most people label people based on a very small sample of their actions, and that's pretty bad. I think that you can do it, but most people probably shouldn't do it.
whether you're a harmful person, like on a societal level,
It's
I
hard
think
to
most
measure.
people, I think like, especially in the space
Pretty true. That's actually the weird thing. Most people know exactly why they get a weird feeling from Mr. Girl, to be fair.
of like
I admire
content
the honesty a
creation,
lot.
I think under a certain threshold of like popularity and influence, I really don't think you can call someone that. So
I'm too
I
small
think
to
you
be
were a
harmful.
lot more harmful when Destiny was platforming you, for example.
Okay, so you think I'm a bad person, but I don't have the means to do bad things because my platform is too small now.
Do I think you're a bad person? I think I explained my bad person thing. I think okay. I think you normalize abuse. I think you're racist and you sometimes say those things which emboldens other people.
Why do
To
you
be
think I'm
more
a
racist.
racist?
I've heard you talk about black people.
What did I say about them?
I'm not done with my list. Can I continue my list?
Sure.
Yeah. What else?
Wow, she really
Yeah,
hit
anyway, I
him
have a
with
list,
the
which means that for me it's not about being a bad person. It's about like specific areas that I think are negative.
don't
in a
fucking
way.
interrupt
What did I
me.
say about black people that's racist?
Hey, Stardust, thank you for joining.
Please do.
Sorry, I just read it. Thank you for rating. Super cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate it so much.
Well, let me ask you this: do you think people can
Watching
be
the end of the
racist
hotline
against
here.
white people? Well, do you think people of color can be racist against white people in America?
I mean, we're just asking about my definition of racism. Yes.
Oh, tell me about your
Welcome,
definition
Stardust
of racism.
viewers.
Just racial prejudice.
I just want to say that Mr. Girl talking to Katie is exactly as pedantic and nitpicky as you would expect it to be.
Okay.
Just run
Yeah,
until
I think
the
people can be
end of the
racially
hotline, maybe a little bit of a
prejudiced, for
wrap up.
Yes.
If
So
that's the definition of racism you use, then yeah,
that's the one I use.
yeah, a lot of libs do that.
Well, I don't like the systemic power differential definition because there are so many different spheres of power that one finds oneself in, that to distill them all down to one seems
You shouldn't distill them down to one.
well,
there are
by
many,
saying
right?
okay, so Barack Obama can't be
I need
racist to
to
his white maid.
I need to ask Stardust too if she wants to co-host my show that I asked Mr. Girl about. I'll have to DM her later. She'd be a good person too.
He can be racially prejudiced towards her,
I
but he
understand.
can't have.
I get what you're saying. I'm saying that if we think of the sphere that we're examining as Barack Obama's house, black people have far more power than white people. If you broaden the sphere to be the entire planet, then you get a different answer. So I think that it makes sense to
It's gonna hurt my
apply
brain.
the word racist to any racial prejudice rather than to bake into the word the size of the sphere that you're drawing around the event.
Okay.
Okay.
Two things, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
If you allow us.
This is
Well, you still
difficult.
haven't
Is
explained
Barack-
why you think. Okay. Yeah.
Barack Obama is a great example because I would say
Katie is truly Mr. Girl's kryptonite, I swear. She
Barack
fucks him up.
Obama has a lot more systemic power over a white maid, but he doesn't have systemic power over a white maid be granted to him by his blackness, right? That's what I would say. He has other so many compiling privileges and like power, because there are many axes of power, that they basically renders him still more systemically powerful.
Have you
but none
ever-
of them are granted to him by his black.
Wait, Mr. Girl would not use an argument like I'm not. Hey, hang on. Thank you. Mr. Girl would not say I'm not racist. I voted for Barack Obama. He argued with me when I said that somebody saying I'm not racist, I have a black friend. they're actually trying to explain to you an example of something that they think makes them not racist, because they're probably not. Outside of the meme and all that, if somebody genuinely says that, they're probably just trying to give like a genuine example. I think it's a joke if he says, I'm not racist, I voted for Barack Obama. I don't think that he would legitimately try to explain that as a reason, because like I said, he criticized the I have a black friend thing when I said that I think this is a legitimate point for most people when they say it.
Have you ever been invited to the barbecue?
What's a barbecue? Like,
When there's a
He
bunch of
said
black
that
people
that's not
and
an acceptable thing
you
to
ever been in a
say,
room
and
with
I
You're
disagree.
the only person who's not black, or 99% black people?
probably.
You're not sure. It's okay if you don't know.
Okay. The second thing I want to say is
Wait,
that we
I
should.
just want to know, are you saying you don't know? That's the answer?
Don't know what.
If you've ever
I said
been in a room,
probably. I probably have been in a room.
but you don't know for sure.
I don't know for sure.
In that situation,
I don't live in America, and
I
I've
understand,
never
that's
have.
fine. That's fine. You can. That's fine. You're not racist just because you've never been that one person. But my point is that when you're
Pardon me.
surrounded by black people and they're doing a bunch of black shit, and they're saying a bunch of black shit, and they're laughing in that black way, and they're telling jokes, and they're all physical and black, and then you're just there.
That's true. You would know if you were invited to the
I would
cookout.
say there is
Oh,
a privilege granted in that sphere to black people to do, say certain things, behave in certain ways. Come on
Watch
in,
it.
baby.
watching your coverage of the new Mr. Girl song, funny as fuck. Thank you, thank you. All right, I'm hoping you mean my reaction too. How long have you been covering Max? He has a knack for streaming, just not socializing healthily. I think it's a pretty fair interpretation. I've been covering Mr. Girl for 2 years now, I think.
Is it a systemic privilege?
Yes, it's a system.
I'm one of the
black
few people that
in the
covers
room,
Mr.
a
Girl on the pro
family.
Mr. Girl
That's not
side.
what a
Hey.
system is.
Families aren't systems.
Families are systems. When we talk about systemic privilege, we're not
Families-
talking about family systems.
Oh, well, if we define systemic privilege as excluding the system I'm talking about, then I guess you're right. But if you don't do that and you listen to what I'm saying instead, maybe broaden your mind for a second. What?
You're out of control, buddy. We're supposed to be on the call.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Rude.
And also, I'm gonna need to stop listening to this and get on the call. So, you need to decide.
Fuck. Yeah.
I think Shaylin might win.
Make that graham crust. Make the graham crust. Yeah, you can. You don't need a wrist to melt butter and mix it. with
I'm
the
not reading that,
crust.
Lance, but it
It's
did
a
make me
no
laugh.
bake. Katie, it's a no bake
She's
graham
shaming.
crumble. What?
She's
I'm
shaming me.
talking to you.
Called her.
It's funny.
I know. No,
Oh.
I'm calling you Katie. There's a no
Oh.
bake graham crust. You just gotta mix it with melted butter, and it
Why are you
hardens until
talking
like.
to me about that?
So you know what the fuck we're talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't
He's
cook.
just explaining it.
It's barely cooking. It's just mixing butter with powder and
I don't
feeding it
mix
to me.
butter with powder.
Well, that explains why you don't understand black people.
I wouldn't
Okay.
know why anyone would think you're racist. Genuinely wouldn't know.
I don't either. Okay, I'll be there in a minute. No.
I think
Yeah.
that's one of Katie's shortcomings. I think
Bye.
that if you make a joke like that, she's going to think that you are racist.
I love you too. Go fuck yourself. I'll see you soon. Okay.
Aww. Okay, so we don't have time to talk about
Do you
what I
think that
actually
that
wanted
was
to talk
actually
about 'cause we
abusive,
wanted to
Lance?
Talk about racism.
If a system can be defined as a group of people with a set of intermingling relationships and values that are imposed by that group of people, whether it's a government, a town, a school, or yes, a family, or a barbecue is a temporary system. A social system is imposed in
A
which
social system is not institutional.
That's true.
again, yes, we can come up with a definition of institution that excludes. Was a church? What about a black church? Is that an institution?
Well, I
Stop
guess
making me
I'm being
come up
charitable
with
to
counterexamples
how she's trying to say it.
Possible thing you could say.
No,
a situa-
I understand the
What
need
about a
for
company?
cognitive dissonance.
What about it's not cognitive dissonance. What about a company that is run by a black person and it all has all black employees?
Well, Lance, I think that if you thought that when he was saying "fuck you" to her, that it was like a actually like an egregious action and that they don't have some kind of understanding with each other and that's how that they play, then I don't know what to
Employees
tell
and
you.
one white person who works there.
I have an idea.
Is
If
blackness
you want
that
to
is
talk about this,
You've never
we
spent
will
time
set
around
up a
black
time.
people. You have never spent time around a large number of black people, so you have no idea what you're talking about. You don't know what it's like to be
Absolutely.
outnumbered. You've never been the girl on the couch in the meme. Well, I fucking have. So don't tell me shit about black people. You don't know. You just don't know. Okay, what do you want to talk about?
Don't you have to go for the call? Don't you have a call to go to?
Yeah, I gotta play Smash with some friends, but
Aw.
what do you want to?
Oh yeah.
He does show her on camera. She comes on the hotline all the time. I don't know what you're talking about,
All
Lance.
of this was very yikes. But I did want to ask you this. You know how you, again, in the conversation with foods, you were kind of talking about how you
She said foods
can't
again.
be friends with fans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you do agree that like these call-ins are kind of therapy-esque, right?
They can be.
Okay. That interests me because
Good one.
you're very upset about the Dr. K thing for doing therapy-esque.
That's
And
totally
what
different.
I'm confused
That's a
about
bad
is
example.
like you can't be friends with a fan because then you're raping them, but you can do therapy to a bunch of fans that you have absolute power over.
He's
Yeah.
absolute
Well, a
power over
therapist
them.
already has power over you, so it's a lateral transition to another relationship in which I have power.
Right.
My problem with Dr. K is that he was in a relationship.
You're not
where he
looking
has
at
power.
facts.
He is licensed, and
Your last
therefore
comment
is
was pure speculation. Get
disallowed
outta here
by
with
the
that shit.
licensing organization and by law from having relationships that are both therapeutic and friendships. And so when he said literally to Reckful, I don't know if I'm your doctor or if I'm your friend, he's throwing him into this chaotic state of confusion where he's being inherently harmed by the blurry nature of the relationship.
That's
With
fine.
me and
Put Dr.
Okay.
K aside.
Okay, with me and my fans, I'm in power as a creator, or I'm in power as the person you're spilling your, talking about your trauma when you're 17.
No,
to.
you're both. You don't know if you're their therapist or if they're their god content creator. You're both.
Yeah, but either way, the relationship is very similar. It's not that like I wouldn't have sex with them under either. I wouldn't.
No. Sure. I'm just.
Yeah,
I don't see how it's materially different than the type of ethical consideration that you have with being friends with a fan, especially when, at least in a friendship situation. Not that I'm trying to convince you to play Smash with Smash
Bring out
or anything.
sunglasses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you see that the power structure does not change? So creator, fan, therapist, patient. This I'm not. To me, the problem is when you go creator, fan, friend. This is abuse when you switch like this. Therapist, patient, friend, sex, playing Smash. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem. Is when the structure.
Wait, he has played Smash with viewers.
Still. Therapist. Oh wait. Creator, fan,
Yeah.
content creator, therapist, fan, therapist.
Yeah,
Client.
but so my concern would be is if I was shifting from being on top to being lateral, because then
By the way, if you haven't already, and I know Lance is going to talk shit about this, if you're on YouTube, give me a subscribe. It's free, and give me a follow on Kick. Trying to hit the next little benchmarks on here. YouTube, I'm pretty close to getting ads, and on Kick, I still got a ways to go, but I want to get VODs.
Yeah. So you don't mind compacting more power
I have gotten
dynamic
quite a
or
few new
compacting
ones
power
Kick
privilege.
recently.
You're just like, you can't
Thank
go
you.
from having power over someone into having equalizing power, but you can have more and more and more power over someone.
Yeah, I don't want to be the issue is this. I don't want to be in a relationship with someone where we're pretending I don't have power that I do.
Okay, so this is the reason why I said this conversation will come full circle for me. Because the last time we talked, you exercised power over me and I got upset, and then I didn't enforce my boundary by leaving. I ended up staying, which I'm very disappointed in myself for. But
Yeah.
I do think that in this case as well, when you're saying that
By the way, if you want
you're
to join
not
Discord, there you go.
protecting anyone, you're doing a rule for yourself, right? Like,
With
you
Smith?
don't want to be in a position. Well,
Smith?
not just with Smith, because it's not an ethical consideration of, oh, I can't be going around raping Smith or raping fans, because you
Well,
don't
Lance, I
mind
guess we'll
compiling
just
power over someone as
figure that
long
out in
as
time,
you
huh?
remain the dominant power holder.
No. Wait, are you asking me what you think or what I think?
I'm asking you, how do you settle the hypocrisy that I'm pointing out?
There isn't. But the thing I'm trying to avoid is the kind of abuse that happens when you have a relationship where it's only appropriate to have the relationship if you're equals when you're not equals. So it's appropriate to be someone's therapist if you're not equals. And it's appropriate to be someone's content creator if you're not equals. But it's not appropriate to be somebody's friend or sex partner if you are not equals.
Yeah, but it's
His
also not
chat's
appropriate
wild.
to be someone's god content creator and their therapist in front of other people.
Wait, something
so obviously
being
some abuse you're not okay with, and some
therapy
abuse you
asked
are okay with, which
doesn't
is
make
the
him the
hypocrisy that I'm
therapist.
pointing out.
Okay. Hypocrisy is
I'm
an
super down for that,
accusation
Haas.
by
Anytime.
my own arguments and my own view that I am violating my own.
By the way,
limits,
I'd just
which I
like to
don't
talk
think
to you
is
more in
happening.
general. If you
It
ever want to
sounds
play a
more
game
like
or something,
you're
hit me
saying
up.
I'm hypocritical because I say I'm against abuse, and yet I'm indulging in a type of abuse, which I don't think is hypocritical. I think it's more just that you think I'm wrong.
I don't think
or
it's
just
abusive to play video games with viewers.
Oh, no, I'm saying I wouldn't think you're hypocritical if you said I'm not fine with X type of abuse and I am fine with Y type of abuse. I would think that would make caring about abuse seem kind of silly to a lot of people because it demonstrates that not all abuse matters, but that's
Again,
not
it's
hypocrisy.
not. It's hypocrisy would be if I thought it was abusive and did it anyway, but I don't think it's abusive.
Yeah.
You don't think it's abusive to be someone's content creator and their therapist in front of other people publicly.
I don't think it's abusive to be someone's content creator and then have a conversation where they're talking about their trauma in front of other people. I wouldn't call myself their therapist, but for the purpose of this
Which is
conversation,
why-
Oh,
Which is why I asked you if you agree that these conversations do in fact cross into therapy.
somebody in his chat said that he has different boundaries with me than
they're
Smith.
actually therapeutic. No, I think they can be a little therapeutic, but they're not therapy. There's not a expectation that we're going to keep talking or that I'm going to follow up, and there is an audience and there's an expectation that the conversation has to be interesting, maybe above all else. So
how do you define therapeutic? Sorry. When I said therapeutic, I don't mean like that it's beneficial. I just mean that there's a certain level of intimacy and engagement and
oh no, they're very intimate and engaged, but the
It's not the
purpose
same
of
as
the
therapy.
conversation is not to provide a benefit to the caller.
He's been very clear about
and
this
do
too.
you think that's how the callers feel?
It is a purpose, but it is not the purpose. In therapy, it needs to be the purpose.
Yeah, but earlier you even said that something that abuse doesn't require intent. It doesn't matter what your purpose is. For a lot of people that come here to talk to you as some form of therapeutic tool, it absolutely is, right? And you know that. You're not stupid.
I would categorize that as them wanting advice rather than them wanting to establish a therapeutic relationship with me. I don't think people calling in think that we. Yeah, I think it matters a lot. I don't think people calling in.
I don't think that Smith
It's
and
like
I
calling
have
a suicide
different
hotline.
boundaries for Mr.
Like,
Girl.
you're not trying to establish a relationship with the person you're calling. You're trying to get help or advice.
Maybe.
So I don't.
I think the dissonance is how we define therapeutic.
Okay. You think therapeutic means the person's calling because they want help?
No, I think so. A hotline is a really good example, right? Well,
Yeah.
there is
I'm
no
so
promise
confused
of
by her.
continuality. the people who are trained to do the hotline work are ethically bound and trained to handle that emotionally sensitive situation.
Yeah.
There are rules they must follow. So while it is true that there aren't like obligations of regular therapy, people understand that people call a hotline for a therapy needing therapy is the wrong word, but I'm
Yes,
trying
it
to think
is.
about more an
Correct.
apt word. Distress.
Okay, again, this isn't hypocrisy if we just disagree. So you would need to show, to call
That's
me
true.
a hypocrite, you need to show that I think what I'm doing is abusive. So you can't compare it to Dr.
No,
K
I
because it's
wouldn't.
not.
She doesn't understand what hypocrisy is.
Because your intent doesn't matter. It's
It's not
either
about-
abusive or it isn't.
Hypocrisy is a contrasting of someone's belief system and then applying it to their own behavior.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So sorry. I'm
So
not
you would need
calling
to
you a
show-
hypocrite anymore.
Okay. You're just calling me abusive.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, and I think other people,
It's a
by
bit
their
exploitative,
understanding of
but you're
the
signing up
metrics
for
that you're
it.
using, would see it as hypocrisy as
I don't
well,
think the
because caring
dangers
about
are
one abuse is
high enough from
obvious.
calling to the
But yes,
hotline
I'm
to say
just
it's
calling you
abusive.
abusive. If you
Okay.
don't think that this abuse is as
Albeit a
bad
bit
as the other
exploitative.
abuse that you'd like to avoid, that's like I don't care.
Maybe. I have to think about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If
so
it is
question
abusive, I'd say it's an
it
acceptable
abusive
level
for
of
me
abuse.
To allow people to call in seeking help when the nature of the call-in show is such that they should be talking to a therapist and not to me.
I can
Yeah.
lay out why I think it's abusive. Would you like that? I'll do it very
Sure.
quickly.
Sure, but I gotta go really soon. So can you?
Yeah. Yes. So people are calling and are being very intimate about very personal things. This is
Yeah.
done publicly with an untrained professional, and it impacts their life in significant ways.
They're untrained. How are they a professional?
With the fact that the untrained professional is also someone they have a parasocial relationship with.
Untrained
The end.
professional. You just mean.
Oh, sorry,
person. I'm not really-
untrained
Thank
abuser.
you.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I'm an untrained abuser, but I get what you're saying.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
people call in and they have an emotional experience that could
I
affect them a
fucking
lot.
swear to God, if this
I
ruins
don't
the
know what I'm
hotline,
doing.
like Advice and Confessions got ruined.
And they
We
look
so
You're
up
doing
mad.
it publicly, and you already
And they-
have
hold on.
an established parasocial relationship with them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I used to have a call-in show called Advice and Confessions, which I stopped because somebody convinced me that I was giving people an impression that talking to me would be like talking to a therapist, which would actually discourage them from talking to a therapist, because talking to me can feel more magical and fun and exciting because they're a fan of me, and also because I have a knack for figuring people out really quickly. But that's not really what therapy is about, and it's not really therapeutic, and it's not that helpful.
Yeah.
And because of that, I stopped the show because I did
Good.
I did think that was a good point.
How is this show materially different? With its current boundaries, right?
Well, callers are screened for immediate psychological distress.
True.
They're also I mean, there's
You
no way
can't
to
have been
totally screen this, but they're
hospitalized.
asked if they've ever been institutionalized
Yeah.
or
Oh,
in a psychiatric hospital. So we do try to screen out people who are vulnerable.
okay.
But if somebody calls and says, oh, like Emery called earlier, and he was like, "I'm getting harassed. I feel scared and unsafe."
Yeah. He was distressed. It was clear to everyone, and food shops were
thought it was
listening to
Emery.
it on his end, making fun of him, right?
Did Katie just misgender food shops?
And he comes to you because he has a certain type of
Oh.
admiration for
She's talking
you.
about Emery. Okay.
And how is that? And it also would be abusive to just tell him, hey, you're getting too personal, I have to kick you off
I did
now,
like
right?
Emery's Call. Emery's Call was
So,
good.
I don't know. That might not be abusive, but uh,
I mean, if
I-
that's a rule you wanted to add to your show, I think that would still be a way to manage the show without letting that stuff happen, to keep some sort of ethical lines around what's happening. But
She's conflating like general advice with therapy, and it's
the
not.
show is exploitative for sure.
That's what I said.
I don't know if that rises to the level of abuse.
okay, then that would then we'll have to go into semantic argument is exploitation, abuse, blah 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 blah, and you don't have the time. That's fine. But if you
Well-
recognize that it's exploitative, that's already like
Yeah, for
something
sure.
I'm
It's
good with.
It's exploitative, but I don't know.
Pardon me.
Part of me thinks it's exploitative,
Try to,
and part of me
mute
thinks
it.
like all this stops me from making
Content in general.
movies with other people.
Oh,
I've made a couple short films, and then
Pardon me.
it was awful. I was like, well, I just have to get used to it. I auditioned people, and I hated it. I hated every fucking second of having somebody read for a part. It just felt like I was humiliating them, and I couldn't stand it. I just was like, whatever, just read it, and I'll just cast you. Like, I can't handle it. Telling them what to do, splashing them with fake blood. Every fucking part of it just felt like
Ooh.
incredibly exploitative. But then I'm
The
like,
end
I
of
love
Master
movies,
System was
so
gonna
like,
be
I don't
on.
know how to square that. And the same thing with shows like this. I'm like, I've always liked relationship advice shows, and I've always liked call-in shows. I've always liked public conversations, and so on one hand, I'm like, well, I'll just. It feels like
No, I
anytime.
understand.
Yeah, it just feels like any time I work with other people in any form, on some level it is exploitative, and so then it's like, am I just playing a game with myself? Like, can I say?
Yeah,
Can
our
I?
own emotional desires and passions are always hindered by ethics that we believe in, right? Like me going on to talk to you, at the beginning I said I'm
Yeah,
not
just-
going to go talk to
yeah,
him because
okay.
I don't
It's
think
not-
it's very good. Right?
Okay. I'm not. But I'm not. I'm saying that part of me thinks all streaming is exploitative and wrong, and then part of me is like, well, I'll just try to do it in the way that. So like, I don't allow super chats. I turned off super chats on my site because it just feels like a gambling addiction that people get into, and it's exploitative. I think
I
it's
hated
wrong.
that
I don't
decision. I
want
think
to
it was a
make
bad
my money
decision.
from super chats anymore, so I turned it off. I shut down the show. You should not call in specifically because you want this like therapeutic part of me to come out. But at the same time, yeah, when you tell me I had this traumatic experience when I was 17 where I got rug pulled, I think my demeanor immediately changes where I
Sounds good,
am
Haas.
trying to
I
take
will.
care of you.
I will
And it's not-
message you about talking
it
or
just,
playing
like,
some games or some
happens.
shit.
And I
I agree.
Okay,
But
so-
I do think that when I was telling it, and that's the difference, right? It was more of a story than
no, every
a
caller,
therapeutic
no,
moment.
every abuse victim thinks that it just doesn't apply to me. You can have sex with me, teacher. Just I'm fine with it. It's the other girls. It would be rape. No,
Don't worry, that's definitely not what I meant. You
It's
cannot
what
have
it-
sex
it-
with me.
it is,
anyway,
well, you get what I'm saying. That you,
yes,
you're-
I
yes,
will
you-
address what you said.
okay.
I talk now.
Okay.
She sure waited a long time.
I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I know you didn't.
She's good at bossing him
particularly
around,
ask
though.
for my advice, but I struggle with like the same things as well. Like whenever I consider even talking to Destiny, I'm like, well, I like having conversations. I want to go on panels and this and that, but I'm also like, well, I think this is harmful. And then you're constantly limiting yourself based on your perspective of what's harmful, right? I do think it's interesting that you would think the super chats are more exploitative in a way that matters to you more than the type of exploitation that's happening. But maybe I don't know you well enough to know what your ethical priorities are, right? I think at the end of the day, it's about knowing your moral and ethical priorities and just engaging in the lower levels of it, because you'd never be clean, right? But just make sure that like the top stuff are not yikesy, you know?
No, it's not. I don't care about that. I think it's more that talking about myself and opening up about my life is something I would do and have done in interviews with people who were in control of the conversation and I wasn't.
Mhm.
So,
And that's
whereas
fine,
whereas
right?
sen-
But that's
whereas
what we
sending
just talked about.
yeah, whereas someone sending so I'm saying that calling into my own show is the kind of thing I would do, but sending someone a super chat so that they'll pay attention to me for a second feels like maybe I would do that too, but I don't think I ever have unless I knew the person.
I mean, it's free and
So that
voluntary,
But
just-
that's
and you have
what
to
I'm
get
saying.
screened.
That like you and we just talked about it, like if you just added a rule to this show where it's like, if I deem
Can I
you
finish what
to
I'm saying?
surpass a
Stop it.
certain line-
Stop. I want to finish
No.
what I'm saying. The I view the show as something that is harmful on some level to me and the callers. And the sacrifice we are all making is that something good might come out of it. Sometimes something does. So it's exploitative and risky. But I don't think it's abusive.
Yeah, but you did a thing there. It's risky for both of you, but it's more risky for them, and it's more exploitative towards them. You're not the one being exploited. You're
In
the
the
exploiter.
In the
Mm,
yes, I'm the exploiter. In the short term, it's more risky for them. I think in the long term,
Kind
the show
of.
probably harms me more than anybody else.
That's fine. That doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
To you, I mean, like,
Yeah, it matters
I-
to me.
yeah, I just think
This is
that,
so
like,
frustrating.
a slave owner being very sad at the end of the day by the moral weight of his slave ownership, like, I don't really care, you know? I don't care about his suffering because of it. He's the slave owner.
This is quite the conflation, but
Yes, I get that, but in order to make content or art that involves other people, I just have to accept a certain level of exploitation. Every interview subject, every podcast guest, every time I ask Shaylin if she'll let me
this
film
creaky
her,
chair will be gone tomorrow.
I am being exploitative and I am putting people at risk.
Yes. But
And
there are
so-
thresholds, right?
Right, and I don't think this meets the threshold for abuse.
Okay. I think that considering other thresholds that you've presented, it does cross a threshold of exploitation that you say you don't want to be a part of, but it's possible that with the
Making
constant
Dr. K comparison
sacrificing
is bad
of,
still.
um
I feel like she's still.
exploitation for like
I feel like she's
ethical reasons,
operating as though that was
um,
accepted.
those lines have changed, and that's a you thing, right?
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I
feel like
don't
that's
agree that
Part of
um,
what's happening here is
I
that
don't know what lines you're talking about. What Destiny?
she's still supposing that he agrees
or
with the Dr. K.
I don't know
Yeah.
what you're
No,
talking
no, no. I
Thing.
mean, like, this show without a rule that you at some threshold are like stopping and being like, this is crossing a line,
He does do that.
you have to get out now, is not materially different than the
Oh,
show
no,
is.
there,
He does
there
do
is
that.
a point at which I would tell someone to get out. I just don't. I just don't think that we hit that point today.
Okay.
This is what Katie does, unfortunately. Yeah, I told you
It
exactly
sounds
how
like
this
you're
is
just
going to
saying you think
go.
I should have ended the call with Emery.
I didn't even listen to the full call with Emery. Emery doesn't like me, so I try to
Okay.
pretend he doesn't exist.
Well, I definitely don't want to talk about him then, or how I handled the call. If you didn't hear it and you have some like beef with him, but yeah, I'll think about this. I appreciate the feedback. Is there anything else you want to say?
Have fun playing Smash.
I will, damn it.
Okay. You're racist.
Well,
Disgusting. Bye.
no, bye. Okay, well.
I think she got to him a bit.
Don't let her
there.
be the moral arbiter, Max. She doesn't deserve that power. Well, she's not the arbiter, but she's presenting a challenge, and we gotta take it seriously. It's something I struggle with a lot. I don't know how to work with other people, without feeling like something horribly abusive is happening.
That tracks.
And it goes to what I was saying at the beginning of the show.
Tracks
Streaming is inherently
a lot.
abusive. What does the audience want? The audience wants someone to call in screaming and crying and throw themselves off a building while streaming it. So if that's true, I don't know. Definitely exploitative. Is it abusive? I don't know. Don't let her hurt you. She's doing something you're susceptible to, implanting seeds of self-hate. Yeah, definitely there's like a... I think after the erudite thing, where I was like in near tears hearing about this email somebody from supposedly from my community sent her, and then just seeing that like she has like zero qualms about just completely shitting on vulnerable people later. I got to toughen up about the guilt tripping. But at the same time, I just don't want to, it's something I already worry about, so I'll have to think about it. Maybe there's a new rule or policy that will help, but I don't know. I never know what to do.
I really hope Katie didn't ruin the hotline.
I've been wrestling with this part of a relationship, but I figured it out. It's not rape if I give Max the look at the moment when he places his GameCube controller at the entrance of my primed Nintendo Switch controller port. I'm glad you figured that out, Smith.
That's pretty good. I read that. I just didn't read it out loud. It's pretty good.
Max, where these people come from? I don't know. Katie should be your co-host. I don't. It feels like she does. It does feel like she's like pouring salt on my like guilt wounds. I don't think a co-host ship is a good idea. Man.
The hotline and
There's this
advice and
part of me that
confessions was
thinks
the
that it's
linchpin
abusive whenever I talk to anyone,
of the Mr. Girl viewership and growth.
especially if they look up to me. And then I'm like, no, fuck it. You're fucking adults.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. I feel like everybody in
think
Twitch
the
Call
show
wants to
is
treat
inherently
everybody
abusive.
like an infant,
And I don't think it's pretending to be something.
and that
it's
like
not.
context and nuance have no role to play in determining whether there's abuse or not.
The problem is she would never hold herself to the standard she's holding you. Case in point, taking an underhanded dig at at Emery and feigning like she cares about him.
I don't know if that was actually
Yeah,
the case.
I think another thing is that like I guess the food shop's call is also this, that I actually care about this stuff, and then people think I don't, and then maybe they don't, and then it's just people trying to get owns on each other, and so then I engage, and then I feel like I don't know what just happened. Does she?
I get that.
Is this a genuine concern? I don't know.
I can't tell people when people check out of a
Jaded-
conversation or a
jaded and
debate
cynical.
and are just like trolling the whole time till like way too late most of the time, unless I know them to be a troller, like a certain chatter maybe. Although I still respond to it even when I know, which is dumb.
There's a spectrum. Yeah.
Oh, imagine a white girl calling you racist then logging off. That ruins the stream. That's pretty good,
Max grew up in the trenches.
You do have your moments.
Yeah.
Lance.
I used to live in Harlem.
I didn't know that.
Did I have white privilege in Harlem when literally everyone was black everywhere all the time? Go to the gym, it's like fucking Charlie in the Chocolate Factory telling me that I have systemic power over these people. I'm a little marshmallow melting in a fucking cup of steamy hot chocolate. I got nothing.
This is too good.
Zilch.
All right, it's basically over. I'm gonna wrap the stream now. I did a lot of stuff today, and I am
My friend's
tired of sitting in this chair that kills
Jewish
my back.
uncle did own the building, but other than that, I had no systemic power whatsoever into governing the situation.
Tomorrow I'm gonna be talking with Will. And I got just like regular streams are coming back. You know, I've been gone for a while from moving and
Okay.
stuff, and then relationship advice show,
Thank you for watching Mr. Girl Hotline.
MK rematch with Mr. Girl.
The next broadcast will be Monday, talking to Dick Masterson
I think that's it for
about a whole lot of stuff. Loli,
right now
black
that I'm
holes,
gonna put out there.
maybe Maddox. See if he
Oh,
wants to talk about it.
actually, I'm also putting out a Substack of like a comprehensive view of like exactly what my moral system is, because after doing some digging, I found out that it's like not. At least there's no other system with a name that's exactly the same as it. So, and also then people can more easily criticize me and call me a hypocrite if they think that I don't follow it. But I think it's pretty good. So yeah, that. Yeah.
New user, named new user. Hey yo, first time here. I've been listening to your music on YouTube for a while and just searched you up and saw you were streaming. I just want to say I appreciate your stuff. I'm genuinely surprised at how underrated you are. I like you. Thank you. Welcome aboard. I don't know where we're going. I don't know why we're going there. I think I have a new song coming out in the next week or two. See how it goes. I think I like it.
Sick.
If I like it, I'll release it. But just a little. Might be more than. I don't
All
know.
right.
It feels like it's going kind of
I'm
fun.
out of here. Have a good night.